Hey guys, this is Chris of Wilson Wildlife Sculpture and Wood Carving, and this video is all about miniatures. I have a series here of quail, two bobwhite quail. This is the male and this is the female, and this is a California quail. So I think this series goes well together, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how fun it is and what I try to create in these sculptures. So this is beyond just wood carving. I've carved the birds, and I put them in compositions where I create a sense of mood and try to evoke an emotion with the viewer. And I've talked about that work with my life-size work and other videos, and I thought this would be a good one to show how I create miniature compositions, because it's a lot easier and smaller to create something, this size rather than super large. As you know, I've done some monumental sculptures too for outdoor public spaces. I've got to share more of that on YouTube. I don't think I have yet. But I have a master's degree in sculpture, but I've been wood carving since I was 10 years old. So some of these pieces are actually a little bit old. This California quail, I think I did in 2009. I was commissioned by a fellow who liked to play golf in Palm Springs, California. And he would see the California quail as he was playing golf. But I live in Georgia, where the bobwhite quail reign king and queen here. That's especially in South Georgia. The Red Hills region have the largest concentration of bobwhite quail. So I wasn't as familiar with with the California quail, although I've been to California before. I've just never seen them. So I did some research, and I found that the Atlanta Botanical Gardens has an atrium that had had the California quail, and it was so cute because the little chicks, this was in the springtime, and the chicks were following the parents around everywhere. So I got great reference material, and that's what this is all really about. It's interpreting nature. I'm creating naturalistic scenes of the birds in kind of fictional scenes, but you can also recreate a scene that you see. Obviously, I'm not recreating that scene in the atrium, but I have made the California quail with the chicks before, and that's very special. So, yeah, the reference material really helps to be able to see the live bird, to have the bird available. Unfortunately, bobwhite quail are not common much throughout the North America anymore, because of the loss of prairie lands, the loss of grasslands, where that supports the most amount of wildlife, is unfortunately in great decline. But I have seen them in North Georgia and the Carolinas before, but it's been a long time ago. I go to South Georgia every fall, and they do raise and hunt these birds, but I prefer to see wild quail, which I've seen coveys of quail. A covey is a group of bobwhite quail, and it's really neat to get close to them because they're social birds. I've done coveys before, miniatures together, and also flying coveys. And I'm known for my bobwhite quail. I've done life-size flying coveys, and that's like a year's amount of work. So I hope to show more of that. But back about a miniature creating works in miniature, why it's fun, it's because you can do them a lot faster than the life-size work. The life-size work, again, can take like a year, doing like a life-size covey rise of quail. And there's a lot of engineering you have to work on because of gravity. So these aren't that hard because the birds are not flying. I do have metal supports in the legs, and the grasses are leaves. Okay, the branches. I recreated this little tree recently, so I've improved the compositions. The leaves are also silver soldered brass and copper. I like to use brass though, a little bit better. Some of these old pieces are copper. In fact, I even show a piece of copper here. I didn't even paint it, so you can see some of the process. But back about the composition, these are a little bit formal. Formal meaning they have old kind of router bases, the cherry, the stone, and I used to do work a lot like this, a lot more. My work has become more informal, working with nature, carving pieces of wood that I find, particularly bases. However, I think this series works well together, and I'm going to turn each one around so you can see them. I think that the focus goes on the bird by creating this black base and then carving the environment at the top. This one's a little bit different on walnut and stone, but I carved this base, and these are kind of matching bookends. So I created moss too, both regular moss here, ground cover on the stump and on the rocks here, as well as Spanish moss that hangs from this branch. I also created ferns out of metal. So these are all cut out using little scissors, just looking at nature. Sometimes I just wing it. In other words, I just, have memory in my head, and this is what I'm going to do. But looking at the birds, the reference material really helps. So if you want to recreate something, look at nature, bring it inside, draw it. You could scale it down because scale is important. Everything has to be the right proportion. The leaves, the birds, grasses. Of course, you don't know what sizes things are in nature, but basically quail are the size of footballs, okay? So I am creating kind of a, I'll show you like this piece in different sides. I'm creating a miniature world, which is fun. After I carve, I seal the wood. I've textured some feathers, textured the base, kind of showing ground cover, and I paint with acrylics as well as oil paints. I may not use oil paints on the birds for the rich sheen, and I use acrylics for the habitat. Yeah, I just added the Spanish moss to this piece, and I love the sense of mood that it gives. I think it just has more of a restful, peaceful mood, and we see a lot of that in the south, where the Red Hills region, where the bobwhite quail are pretty dominant there. Here's the California quail. I did make the top knot. This is a little top knot that the Gamble's quail also has. And I made that out of metal because at first I made them out of wood and it broke. And I'm not a fan of my pieces breaking. I have to ship my work, and I want my pieces to last. As this piece is metal too. My larger pieces I make come apart for that reason, so I could ship the pieces. But these miniatures, I make them pretty solid, and these do not come out. I think I did have this branch come out, but I just went ahead and glued it in place. I can ship this in a box, within a box, and that's fine. So if you're interested in my work or how I make my work, watch more of my YouTube videos, and please like or comment on my videos, as well as you can sign up for my newsletter on my website. And most of all, subscribe to my channel because I will create more and more content, and others I show a lot more how-to, how I make these pieces, how I carve them, how I use power tools, hand tools, how I paint them, how I do this composition and techniques. I have short, some long videos. I also teach one-on-one classes, and you can find that information on my website. It's wilsonwildlifesculpture.com. And I've been doing this for over 40 years, and I'm 30 professionally. And so I want to be able to share what I do with the world and protect these birds because they're beautiful birds and they deserve our attention. Centers like the Tall Timbers Research Center in Tallahassee, Florida do great conservation work. And I support shows in conservation organizations like NatureWorks, which I'm going to be traveling to in a couple weeks in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And they have lots of conservation projects in the state of Oklahoma, as well as they give back, they give scholarships to youth who want to study biology and sciences to help the future of our land and wildlife. So that's one of my goals with my work, is to show the beauty of these birds and the importance for conservation. And I hope it resonates with you too. And if you do gain value with this video, please like or comment. Comment how I can improve. And most of all, subscribe to my channel. I appreciate your support. Have a great day.